Go ahead and dance and do the jump around. So you can see it go up. Yeah, just go up. Yep, there you go. That's the new tense. It's counting the number. Hey! Thanks, honey. Love you. Hello, Cellercise family. How you doing? I hope everybody's well. I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about what I went through with regards to the COVID family, what I'm hearing some of you are dealing with. We're going to introduce our new monitor, which I was just going over with Liberty, and we'll show you that in just a few moments. And then we're going to make it available to our Facebook Cellercise family first. We've got a limited number of them in our first batch, but I'll talk to you a little bit more about those. We're going to share some customer reviews. I really want to encourage everybody to continue to send in the customer reviews. I hear these things on the phone all day long, and they're amazing. But repeating it from a phone call versus actually having it from you in writing really helps other people to benefit from it. So we'll talk about some of the customer reviews. I'm going to read some of the questions, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey to the other end of the COVID-19. That's not a fun virus at all, and it's real serious for a lot of people. In fact, let's talk about that a little bit. I got it a couple weeks ago now, and when I had a fever for several days. Initially, I started to get aches in some of the muscles and joints. I Cellercised, went away, never came back. I was really grateful for that. The lungs got attacked, and it felt like the bronchial tubes had kind of closed up, a lot of fluid. I would get on the Cellerciser. I couldn't do any deep breathing, but I could do little breaths of pumping up and down. And it didn't necessarily feel good at the time, but 15, 20 minutes later, the fluid in the lungs was coming out, and then I would breathe better. And that was for several days. It just couldn't shake it, but little by little got better and better. And then the breathing began to open up again. I did gentle Cellercising several times a day, and I really believe that helped me a lot. If you look at what this COVID seems to do, is that it attacks weak areas, or areas that are where there's a lot of inflammation as well. In fact, it creates inflammation. It's interesting, and I don't know, I could be wrong about this, and so I share it with the doctors and the health practitioners for your consideration. But what I've been hearing is it working okay?
Mic on?
Yeah. Does it work? It's not.
Wasn't a second ago, so we'll see if it works now.
Okay. Tell me if it's working. We'll change the batteries out if we need to. Is it working now? Can we get a thumbs up if it's working? Yay or nay? Any feedback?
Yeah.
It's working? Good. Thank you. All right. So you look at athletes. These are people they're working hard. A number of them that we've had a chance to deal with have had inflammation in their muscles because they're tearing down their bodies to build up their bodies. Typical methodology of exercise, a manipulation of the body, but it works. You can build stronger muscles. But in the process of tearing down, we open up the membranes and the tissue. It creates inflammation. And something to consider is that why so many of these athletes have had to have blood clots, amputations, and they're in good shape. Is that because the COVID, the virus now can go after those areas that have been compromised and actually cause it to be worse? it's worth considering and it's worth looking at. One of the advantages of the Cellerciser is you do not tear down to build up. The movement up and down applies weight to every cell membrane, but without tearing it or rupturing it. And so as we're applying the weight to the cell membrane, the cell fortifies its membrane with more protein to become more resistant to the weight. But the movement up and down also makes it more difficult for a virus to attack a cell, because you're moving up and down, which helps the lymphatic system be circulating and helps to keep those cell membranes healthier and stronger as well. So in my case, I think I got a good dose of it, but I have friends of mine that had it before I do, and they're still dealing with it. They're still dealing with issues concerning it. So I think as we look more into the potential benefits of the Cellerciser itself for the lymphatic system, the circulatory system, the weight-bearing activity, all those benefits rolled in together, I think it might be something that doctors, health practitioners, institutions might want to look further into and do some more studying as well. The overall objective is, what can we do to be healthier, to be stronger, to fight back when necessary, so that we can be able to go through this and still be able to enjoy good quality of life. All right, so let's read a few customer reviews. This one comes from Ivo. Ivo is a professional saxophone player, and I got a phone call from him when he was in Europe. He was touring, and he talked about how he'd been playing the saxophone better than he had in a long time, that his finger dexterity was so much like it used to be when he was younger. And that's one of the big advantages of Cellercise, is that as we're moving up and down, we're creating a vacuum within the lymphatic system of circulation that's pulling that circulation between the bones and joints. And it's think of it like this. You're moving up and down on a Cellerciser, it's like an internal scrub brush. So as we're moving up and down and the fluid's moving up and down and we're doing movements with the fingers, we're able to get that circulation between the bones and joints to help reduce inflammation. But he says, I've been Cellercising happily for 5 months. All my initial pains have gone away. Knees, back, etc. So that's thanks, Ivo, for sharing it. Okay. This comes from Janet. Just felt the truth of this today. Did a 5K walk through Texas Canyon in southeast Arizona with my 7-year-old granddaughter and her mother, my daughter. The trail was really a hard surface, and I was aching in the mid-back by about 2 miles in, pound, pound, pound. But never an ache with my Cellerciser. I may get tired sometimes, but never do I have the aching for hours that I get with street walking or hiking over rocky surfaces. And my Cellerciser routine is the medicine I take to ward off osteoporosis from anti-cancer treatment. Thank you, Dave, for your persistence in business and supporting us all in the Cellercise family. Well, thank you for your support, Janet, and for sharing that. And yeah, and if you like to go hiking, you like to go running, that's great. I suggest that you Cellercise first, because it warms up the tissue, gets the circulation going, and go ahead and do your activity. When you're done, because there's a jarring effect, even hitting a hard surface, even walking, you can build up the stress and tension in the back. When we're done, get on the Cellerciser, gently bounce up and down, do a little bit of movement while you're on the Cellerciser, create that pumping action that helps to get that circulation back between those bones and joints and help promote balance within the body. Raj writes, God bless you for your work. So thankful for you, Jerry, and the whole staff at the Cellerciser headquarters. Oh, I think we've read this. It touched my heart about the video about your wife and the love of your family for your wife. The Cellerciser product is such a wonderful way to exercise and have fun, But Cellercise is so much more. There's so much more for us. It is about exercise and a way of life. It centers around family exercise. Thank you for letting us be a part of it. Thank you, Raj. And that's what we want. We want everybody in the family. That's one of the neat things about Cellercise is it's one size fits all feet. Virtually everybody can use it. We have the tridaptable spring. So whether you're 30 pounds or 300 pounds, it's a self-adjusting spring. It's going to give you the support you need to create the necessary resistance, pumping action, and increase circulation. Linda writes, I think some of these got in from the last time we read them, but says, I was told I had bursitis in my left shoulder because I couldn't raise my hand over my head and would probably need surgery down the road. Not really placing faith in doctors these days, I started doing light jumping jack movements while I was bouncing, and within weeks I was able to raise my hand over my head, and the pain has never returned. It's all about getting oxygen to the blood cells to start the healing process to the inflamed area. And that's an interesting thought as it relates to what I was sharing earlier. What can we do to get circulation, oxygen, and help to reduce inflammation? And we know that Cellercise goes a long way in doing that. This is Austin writes, it was a pleasure speaking to you again this afternoon and meeting with you so many years ago, 16 years ago. I knew then what I still know now, and that you are a man of his word regarding product support, genuine belief and conviction in the healthy fitness lifestyle. I just recently recommended the Cellerciser to a friend who was looking for an affordable, safe, convenient, and easy to use product to meet his health and fitness needs. He is so happy to be finally and consistently achieving his personal fitness health objectives that had eluded him these past years. And those are great. I had a lady call me up from California this last week, and she had been exposed to all the fires, and it had affected her lungs, and her oxygen level was very low, and so the doctors were treating her. She didn't like the medication, so she chose not to take that, and she got on the Cellerciser. And she started doing the breathing routine exercises. 3 days later, she went back to see the doctor, having cleared a bunch of stuff out of her lungs, and the doctor did another test on her. This is a doctor who graduated from Stanford. He's an MD. And he talked to her and he said, what are you doing? He said, this is the best result I have ever seen you have. She said she was nearly 100% on her oxygen, and that her lungs and everything were opened up and she was feeling good. So she told the doctor about Cellercise, and she said, he will probably be calling you. He said he wanted to talk to you. So I encourage doctors, please give me a call. Let me share with you some of the different approaches we can take on the Cellerciser, and you can consider whether or not that might be helpful for some of the patients you're working with. But the movement for the lungs, and I'm going to do it right now because it feels good, is just the breathing in and out like this. And in my case, I can still feel a little bit of congestion in the lungs, but nothing like what it was. So I'm grateful for that. So I'll continue to work on that, opening up the bronchial tubes and lungs, and you'll hear how I'm doing in a couple weeks. But if there are those of you who are struggling with the COVID, our hearts go out to you, our prayers go out to you, and I really mean that. If there was something else I could offer, I certainly would. Follow your doctor's advice. Help you educate your doctor on what the Cellerciser can do, and get better, because we're all rooting for you. You know, this thing's, it's serious, and it's affected a lot of people very seriously. There's some great techniques that I do on the Cellerciser for kidneys, digestion, elimination. I think those movements are just part of the natural routine that I teach, but they're also beneficial. Okay, I've been doing resistance exercises for 50 years. Weights, body weight, total gym. Can you explain how Cellercising can strengthen your muscles and provide the same muscle building and definition? Suggested movements? Thanks. Okay. It's not going to build the same kind of muscle that you would get if you were tearing down to build up. But it's going to be a very strong, flexible, healthy muscle. When you lift weight away from gravity, you're limiting the effect just to the muscle that's doing the lifting. When you're increasing the weight of gravity, you're not limiting the effect just to this muscle. It's on every muscle, every cell, throughout your entire body, and not just the muscles, but the fascia. And that's like a secret weapon for strength and balance, and it's what supports everything inside the body from the inside out. So you can do resistance movements, and I do. You know, you do and many of you have seen me do it. You can do the arm curls, and I count to 4. Generally, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to build the front part, the back part of the arm, both of them at the same time, and then you switch and do the other count. You can push in, and this is going to work all throughout the upper chest cavity, shoulders. This movement right here, if you want to know how powerful it is, take your fingertips, put them on the trapezius muscles here, or the deltoids. Go ahead and grab the deltoids if you want, and then bounce up and down. Just this movement right here. Feel the amount of weight that you're putting on these muscles. Now, visualize doing a resistance movement and then adding that much more weight also. That's what's so amazing about Cellercise. When I was doing it, when I first began, in the first month, my family and my wife noticed my arms. They looked bigger because of Cellercising. That's the only thing I was doing different. So as you put weight on muscles over and over, the cells fortify their membrane with more protein. They become stronger to resist that weight. If you want to increase more definition to certain areas of the body, we create leverage on those muscle groups, even though the rest of the body is always working too. And we create the leverage simply by altering the angle of our position a little bit. So if we want to work underneath the neck or the chin, we tilt our 15-pound head backwards. If we want to work on the stomach, we kick our legs out in front of us. Every time I come down, that's a lot of weight. To work on the waist and the hips, you're creating definition all along your waist and your hips as you're bouncing up and down on the Cellerciser.
How does Cellercise make you more flexible?
How does Cellercise make us more flexible? Okay. When we're not flexible, the muscles and the ligaments can be tighter. What we want to do is increase flexibility and circulation to the tissue so the membranes become not looser, but just more flexible, less rigid. Well, when we stretch, if we're taking our arms and putting them back behind us, we're stretching a group of muscle tissue here. Nothing wrong with it. You can overstretch and then you can end up tearing. That's not healthy either. Here's how Cellercise is different. When we get on a Cellerciser, and I suggest every athlete Cellercise before they stretch. Because if your muscles are tight or cold, and then you try to stretch, you can tear them. And that can, over time, compromise your overall ability and performance. But when you're on a Cellerciser, you are weightless, weight. Weightless, weight. Weightless, weight. As you are weightless and you come down, you apply weight to the cell membrane, it expands with weight against the membrane. As you come up, you take the weight off. So as you constantly are moving up and down, the cell tissue, membranes, and ligaments automatically start to become more flexible. Increased circulation, flexibility of the cell membrane. But here's where it gets interesting. Not only are you increasing the flexibility of the cell membrane because it's weight bearing, it's also strengthening the cell membrane as it's becoming more flexible. That's totally different from conventional forms of exercise. So it's helping to increase flexibility of all body parts. One of the techniques I like to do with people is have them try to touch their toes before they Cellercise. And they'll go down and they'll try to touch their toes, and then I'll have them get on the Cellerciser. And I said, bounce on the Cellerciser for 3 minutes, and then I want you to go down and touch your toes again. And as they do, they end up finding that they've gone down a significant amount more. So I never stretch. You can, and I think it's kind of neat. I tried to do some yoga movements a while back, and I should pick that up again. It was a lot of fun. But if you want to have a good yoga experience, Cellercise first. And then you can do the yoga movements. You can have an enormous amount of balance within the body and see how much of a better yoga experience you have from Cellercising before you do the yoga.
Does Cellercise irritate plantar fasciitis?
Does Cellercise irritate plantar fasciitis? We have some wonderful customer reviews about plantar fasciitis and what has happened to people that have had chronic plantar fasciitis for years. And one gentleman walked around with a ball in his pocket because he was constantly having to roll his foot on it. They started Cellercising, the plantar fasciitis just started to fade away. Plantar fasciitis, when the muscles in the feet become more restrictive, and then we go out and we try to do something more strenuous, it can cause that fascia and tissue and ligaments to tear. They can tear. You get these little tears in it. It's painful and not comfortable at all. We have grown up in our society, most of us wear shoes. Nothing wrong with that. But shoes, especially high heels and other shoes, the foot is limited in its movement or mobility. When then we go out and try to do something that requires more flexibility in the foot, we can damage that tissue. So when people ask me, should I wear shoes on the Cellerciser? My first response is no, you shouldn't. Here's why. When you go barefoot or soft-soled slippers that have movement, the movement on a Cellerciser is going to cause the muscles and ligaments, the tissue, to support your natural balance, not the balance of a shoe. And initially, we can feel some discomforture as the foot and the bones and everything within the foot starts to create more movement. So when we're on a Cellerciser and we're bouncing around on the Cellerciser, by going barefooted, the foot can move to support my natural alignment. If I was wearing shoes, it would be more restrictive. Over a period of time, as the foot becomes more flexible, then we can go out and we can do these other activities and have more fun because the foot has more dynamic or more flex within it. So I hope that helps. Now, I've worked with podiatrists as well. Don't take this as medical advice. Consult with your doctor, especially if you're under medical treatment. I'd be happy to share, and you're welcome to share, some of this information to the doctor for their review. Most of the doctors that I talk to very much appreciate where I'm coming from and what I've had an opportunity to share. But most of the doctors that I work with who understand that, many of them are the ones who taught me. So, all right. Do you still only do 10 minutes a day? Because you look amazing. Yes, I still do my 10-minute a day routine. What is your all-time favorite move on the Cellerciser and why? Okay, that's a good question. All right, my all-time favorite movement on the Cellerciser. I've got 3 of them. And wow. You know, I've got 4 of them, and I'll tell you why. Number 1, most important, every day, I believe, is get on the Cellerciser and just gently move up and down, back flush the valves, open up the circulatory system, increase oxygen blood flow to the brain, massage all the internal organs, challenge our vestibular balance. It does so much. This is a wake-up call. As we activate the lymphatic system, I'll notice any puffiness around the eyes start to disappear in just a few minutes when I wake up in the mornings, and that's a good indicator that I'm warming up the body. That's number 1. Number 2, digestion elimination processes are critical for good health. Holding on to the balance bar, lifting the heels up and down, and simply doing the twist. This gentle, you don't have to hold the bar, you can actually twist up here too. It helps loosen up the lower back. But this gentle twisting motion is loosening up the vertebral joints while it's moving circulation, and then the muscles are helping to feed that circulation between the vertebral joints back to the disc, imbibing the disc with more fluid, synovial fluid, so we can literally take more pressure over time off the vertebral joint, or off the nerves between the vertebral joints. And that increase of flexibility is great. And I don't know if you remember this, but when we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, and we did the calisthenics, we do things like this, which is, you know, great for the upper back. Oh, it felt good. But you can work the lower back too. And that's where up to 80% of Americans, we're told, are going to have lower back problems. So that gentle twisting's got so many benefits. It also takes the smooth muscles, the intestines, the colon, and the liver, kidney, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, adrenals. Instead of living a static existence all day long, we're moving up and down and massaging all of those internal organs. And this gentle movement helped to improve my digestion elimination processes dramatically, and just helped a great many other people too. So that would be number 2. Number 3 is opening up the bronchial tubes in the lungs. We're told that most people don't get enough oxygen to the bottom third of their lung anyway, which isn't really healthy. We want a good oxygenated environment within the body. But this movement here, I know, is an exercise for the lungs, which I'm working on right now. But it does more than that. When I breathe in and then breathe out, while I'm gently bouncing on the Cellerciser, I am pumping the lymph system throughout the whole chest cavity area. This movement up and down creates an enormous amount of pumping and circulation. But in addition to that, as I open up the bronchial tubes in the lungs, I increase oxygen into the bloodstream. And that in and of itself can increase metabolic processes. So this gentle movement up and down, breathing in and out. Oh, and another added benefit, which I never would have thought, other than I noticed it for me when I started to do this, was it opens up the larynx. And not enough people are talking about how important it is that we can strengthen the lungs. We can open up the bronchial tubes by exercising them, and without having to go out and do a lot of long distance running or a lot of swimming. And it simply goes like this. And you saw me do it earlier. Oh, that feels good. But it can also open up the voice and opens up the diaphragmatic breathing. So I hope that helps. All right. Please, what foods do you eat? How many calories does the average person burn on a rebounder versus 2.5 miles of jogging? Study done by Dr. Paul E. DeVore showed that at equivalent levels of oxygen uptake, that trampoline helped to burn calories 11 times faster than walking, 5 times faster than swimming, 3 times faster than running. He published his findings in the Journal of Bariatric Physicians. So that should help with that. As far as how many calories a person burns, we're going to introduce the new monitor to you. I'm going to hurry. Because that monitor has an algorithm built within it that helps to show you how many calories you're burning based upon the intensity of the exercise or workout. We have a limited number of these. This is our newest design model. They're going to be available to our Facebook members beginning tomorrow, and then we'll make them available to the general public. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Question, are there any exercises while rebounding that help strengthen your jaw muscles? Cellercise, it helps, I believe, to strengthen everything. It's weight bearing on everything. If you want to chew some gum while you're cellercising, sure, you're working the muscles and you're applying more weight on those muscles in the jaw as well. But it is still going to be all weight bearing. If you want to tighten it underneath the chin, just tilt your head back a little bit. While you're bouncing or jogging, it leverages the weight on these muscles. I have a device that you put in the mouth, like a mouth guard almost, and you bite down and chew over and over. And it has a 50-pound resistance when you bite down, which will strengthen the jaw muscles and make them more pronounced. But I thought gravity is a better resistance. Laugh out loud. So any tips or exercises to make one's jaw muscles more pronounced and strong? And just what I said. Yeah, just don't swallow the gum. But if you're chewing the gum while you're bouncing up and down, you're going to be working those muscles and applying an increased amount of weight on those muscles. Would like to know or see David's current daily routine on the Cellerciser. Also wondering if and when the specific muscle building exercise will be on the app. Thanks in advance. Good. Okay. Here's where we're at. Somebody had asked me if we were going to get the monitors done before Christmas. Yes, we did it. We've got the monitors done before Christmas. Right now, everything takes longer than I expected. Right now, we are working on our new website. That's going to be an awesome website, I think. It's going to be so informative. It's going to teach you so many different skills and things that we can do on the Cellerciser. That is what we're working on right now. That should be done. I'm going to say we want to get it done before Christmas. The challenge we have is it's almost done. We've got about a week's worth of work. We're going to test it, and we'll either make it available within the next 2 weeks, or we'll wait till right after Christmas and then make it available. And then we work on the Mr. Rebounder app, and I have several movements that we will be introducing new modules. So if you don't know about the Mr. Rebounder app, go to mrrebounder.com and take a look at that, and it will give you an introduction on a fun program, and that's what we want to make it. We want to make exercise fun, and it's going to continue to get more fun. All right. And as far as my routine, it's actually on the app, and I've actually done it on YouTube as well. So to save time tonight, I won't do that right now, but you can actually see my routine there. Would Dave possibly be able to demonstrate or explain more on how to improve eyesight while bouncing? Okay, vision. We've had a number of ophthalmologists use the Cellerciser. It all depends on what's going on with the eye. And I shared this recently in a previous Facebook session, so it's I don't know if Christine was able to catalog that one correctly so you can find it easily or not, but it was creating an eye chart, putting it up on a window, bouncing up and down, focusing on the letters, looking through the window at a distance, coming back. The movement up and down causes the eye to expand and contract. It increases circulation to the eye. You're working the muscles of the eye. And over a period of time, that has helped a number of people improve their vision. In fact, I tell a story about Juan Crovetto in San Francisco, who had been on the Cellerciser for a period of time, put it away, wouldn't use it because every time he put on his reading glasses, it got harder and harder to read. He knew that the Cellerciser was affecting his vision. Finally went to the optometrist. Optometrist did a analysis of his eyes. He said, Juan, you've simply gone from 5.5 diopters to 4.5 diopters. You just need new glasses, but with less power. And so Juan was right to scold me and tell me, David, you should warn people. It could affect their vision. So I got my Cellerciser to stop squeaking. I'm glad you brought that up. I want you to listen. Do you hear any squeaking? Nope. Very quiet. Guys, my Cellerciser is just like every one of yours. When you put a drop of oil at both ends of each spring, we use 3-in-1 oil, and you bounce up and down, the steel rubbing against steel polishes the steel. It takes away all the rough edges, and over time it just gets quieter and quieter and quieter. So, now the problem that the bar rattles when I'm jumping. Is there anything I can do to stop it? When I listen to videos, I don't hear the bar rattling like the way that mine does. Thank you. I have been jumping for 14 months and feel better. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Yeah, if I don't hold on to the bar, it can rattle, but I'm not on the wood floor. I've got a little carpeting under it. It makes a difference. It's designed to be loose. You pull it toward you when you need it, and your balance improves dramatically, your confidence level improves dramatically, your results are going to improve dramatically. That's why we have a balance bar initially, then it becomes a performance bar. So you're holding on to it. Now you're able to do more advanced techniques holding on to something that you wouldn't feel comfortable doing if you didn't have something to hold on to. But as far as the moving up and down, if it bothers you, take just one layer of duct tape. Take the balance bar off, put one layer of duct tape on the leg, and then slide it back over the leg, and that should help quiet it up for you. Okay, now, the half-fold Cellerciser bar has more parts in it, has more movements, and so that could create a little bit more of the rattling. The streamlined balance bar, and anybody who's got a half-fold balance bar, we've got a conversion kit. You can buy just this top part, and it will turn your half-fold balance bar, which is a little wider, into the streamlined balance bar. And you don't have to buy a whole new bar. Any advice for those who suffer from lipedema? Tell me, Brooklyn, you're the nurse. What is lipedema versus lymphedema?
So lipedema is when there's large deposits of fat underneath the skin.
Okay, large deposits of fat underneath the skin. Thank you. Generally,
so they easily bruise, and it typically gets worse over time.
Okay, so we want to there's a number of things happening. Circulation is generally a big part of that. And circulation, when we lose circulation to various different areas of the body, that's when we can have fat deposits accumulate as well. If we have a blood disorder or we're more prone to bruising, then Cellercise, because it's weight bearing, can help strengthen the actual membranes of the blood cells themselves, as well as the arteries. It's all strengthening. It's all helping to increase circulation. I'll have to look more into that to be able to consider what Cellercise can do. But what I can say is that it helps open up that circulation. And I know with with cellulite, women especially, if you have cellulite on the legs, the back of the legs, you've just accumulated white adipose tissue. And generally, you've lost circulation to that area of the body. It's not circulating as well. And so that white adipose tissue, it hardens and it starts to push itself through the epidermis, and it looks like the cottage cheese type fat. That's just not a bad thing, guys. I mean, it's part of it's at maturity. But if you don't like that, then you get on the Cellerciser and you can do the Jamba run, which is extremely intense, and it can help open up capillaries and increase circulation. All right, Brooklyn, let's share the new monitor. I don't know if you're able to bring that camera over here, but I want to show them what it looks like. Thank you. Oh, that's pretty nifty. Okay, so it comes in a box like this. This is what it looks like when it comes in the box. It's got a plastic sheet on top. These are all the component parts that are in the box. So you've got your cable that goes to the oscillator. We filed a patent on this, and we've got a patent pending. We've got other patents pending too. But the oscillator actually measures the number of jumps that you do, even if you're doing the Jamba run. It's extremely sensitive. It also has the intensity. We'll show it, we'll demonstrate it in a moment. So this has a little bar where an intensity light comes on. It's got the time that you're exercising, so you've got the total amount of time, and the calories burned. And that, when you turn it on, it's got a great bracket. You just slide it over the bar. You can put it on the bar. You can put it on the leg. You can use this on virtually any mini trampoline. So it doesn't have to just be a Cellerciser. And you can count the number of beats. You see the intensity. The button to turn it on is right there. You just turn it on. You can see that's got the intensity bar, the number of bounces, the number of times. So if I just, it's going to show the intensity. And if you watch if I go up with the Jamba run, that's pretty intense. Keep that there for a few moments. You're going to feel it. You're going to be burning it. But if I'm just doing, it'll come down. If I'm just doing the health bounce, you see it's still registering. It's just not the same intensity. If I'm jumping side to side, that's a little more intense. So it goes up. And when I'm done, I've done 102 bounces. Jamba run goes quick and burned 7 calories. And that was all in less than a minute. So pretty intense. And these are on sale now for $139. They're not cheap, made here in the United States. They're well built, and all the component parts that are on this they're very, very good. And you've got a lot of adjustability here. So that's our new monitor. Like I said, if you're interested in one of the advantages of it is that you don't have to have your iPhone or iPad or your smartwatch, or you can have it connected to any mini trampoline, and anyone who wants to come and use it, they just turn it on. They can see the amount of time, they can see the number of bounces, they can see the intensity, and the calories burned. So thank you, everybody, for your support, for continuing to share this information to the public. It is working. It really is. It's growing. And you're helping a great number of people. So we don't need to work out. We can play in. We want to make it fun, easy, efficient, convenient, safe. It's portable. It can be done with the television on, which is what we do in our home. And one size, again, fits all feet. So all family members can use it. If you have any questions, please write down the questions, send them in. If you need to talk to me, I'm available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Mountain Standard Time. And thank you. God bless. Be safe. And and keep your immune system healthy and strong. Thanks.